Best You podcast. The sole purpose of this podcast is to teach, inspire, and motivate everyone to be the best versions of themselves. Welcome to the Be the Best You podcast. I'm your host, Larry Dawson, and today we have an amazing guest on, Miss Michelle Hoffman.
Thank you so much for having me, Larry.
So she is a best-selling author, and she is also a relationship coach. So you know, on the Be the Best You podcast, we break down all the different ways that we can become the best versions of ourselves. The reason that I brought her on today is we're going to talk about relationships, the modern day relationship, and how to succeed and thrive in a modern day relationship. Thank you for coming on today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what got you started?
Well, when I was a little girl, maybe you had a similar experience in your family that when it was your birthday, they would put a candle on your cake and you got to close your eyes, make a wish, and blow out the candle. And you may have wished for a pony, all the chocolate you can eat, a dinosaur. Somebody told me once they wished they could be a CSI investigator, but I always wished for the same thing, and that was to be in an incredible relationship and grow up and have a family of my own. Eventually, that did happen, and it was perfect. I found the man of my dreams, and we built a life together. We built a family together. We built a home together. It was not showy. It was perfect for us until he died. And that left me head of household, sole parent, and single. And in my professional career, I had been a portfolio manager in the banking industry. I had been a high-level executive in the medical publishing world, and I worked at Stanford in the primary care and outcomes research in the medical department. But there's nothing that prepares you for a shift, a developmental life shift, like losing somebody who's so significant to you. And I had life planned out, essentially, with him, and here I am alone. So as I was rebuilding my life and the life for my children, with me being the sole parent, a friend of mine went out for a run, had a heart attack, and died, and I thought, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And now that you know that I rebuilt my life and the kid's life, you know, I do know what to do, and I couldn't do nothing. So I went to his widow and said, this is never going to be okay. I'm going to hold your hand and walk this journey with you. Let's project manage this thing, because that I knew how to do. So we rebuilt things for her and her family and her career and her health and her life and her kids, just as I had done for mine. And I realized I was creating a process by doing this. So as I was going back to find 2 jobs, because now I needed to support my family on my own, my community was saying, well, can you go help them? Can you help them? Can you help them? And I'm saying, well, I need to get 2 jobs. And everyone was coming to me and they were saying, this is your job, we need your help. So I started out as the widow guide, essentially. And I wrote Life Worth Living, and that became an international bestseller. And people from all over the world were coming to me, asking me to help them through it, which of course I would do. What was interesting in the transition there is, what do you want more than anything else in your life? Is to know that you have a clear, well-lit path to fulfill your journey your way, and everyone wants a partner to walk that journey with them. So more and more people were coming to me saying, hey, can you help me find love? And I thought, well, this is the easiest part of all. And they're saying, maybe for you, but not for us.
Not for everybody.
So that's how I became a relationship coach. And it's more than just finding and inviting love in. It's your relationship with your inner voice, your relationship with your physical self, your relationship with your faith, your family, your community, your career, all of it. And when you understand who you are in the world, it makes it really easy to attract, keep, and enjoy the right relationships to you, including the intimate ones.
It's funny you mentioned all those different relationships because they're all important. One of the things I help people with quite a bit is that inner voice. That's the one I think people struggle with the most. So that is very key right there. I'm very sorry about the loss of your husband. Not only are you an inspiration to be able to overcome that, but being an inspiration to so many other people and helping them as well. So I'm glad to have met you and know you and have you on today. And everyone that's watching or listening today, I'm sure they're going to find what you have to say very interesting. Those of you that are watching or listening, please take the time to like, share, subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment, and thank you everyone for your support. So let's dive in a little bit, and let's get some of your opinions on this stuff. What is your opinion of modern day couples?
Modern day couples. This is gonna be fun. Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
Actually, all relationships follow the same cycle, even if it's the relationship like you were saying with your inner voice, because that could be generated from a sense of self-worth or lack of self-worth, self-confidence, self-value. Where did that come from? So when you can inspire and rebuild that, it builds your relationship with your sense of self. But all relationships go through the same cycle, from chemistry to casual to committed. And when you follow that cycle and you go to the committed point, and I'll explain each of those portions to you, those phases, it will throw you forward back into the chemistry phase, or forward into the chemistry phase. So, for example, and you can name any relationship, like a modern day relationship. Would you like to take the example of like you've captured the eyes of someone across a room, and the two of you find each other very attractive, and the law of attraction is coming into play. Should we take that as an example?
Sure, let's go with it.
All right. So the first thing that's going to happen is that will throw you, as you lock eyes with someone, that's going to throw you into the chemistry phase of this cycle. And literally your body is going to respond to this, and you're going to build up a whole bunch of serotonin, your endorphins are going to go crazy, oxytocin, the cuddle drug, is going to be pumped out into your system, and you're going to feel this sense of euphoria of like, I am making a connection here. This might be something real. And in fact, for you and your body, it's literally changing your chemistry. It is real. Yeah. And that is where the law of attraction starts to pull two people together. So with that, you've now locked eyes, and you may even come closer to one another, and then you may start a conversation, and you may engage in a dialogue, and this is where, on a small scale, you'll move into the casual phase of the relationship, because now you're getting more comfortable, and you can look forward to the give and take in a relationship here, and it's like, okay, this is fun. I can't wait to ask the next question, or see how they'll answer the next thing, or maybe there's a touch of hands. Who knows how this might bump things up a little. And so with that, in the casual phase of a relationship, this is where something unique happens. This is where we look for red flags, yellow flags, and what I call green lights. So if you're having this conversation in our example, and suddenly this person says something that is way out of line and not in alignment with your core values, your morals, where you're at in life, that's going to be a red flag, where you're going to politely back away from the situation and say, this is not a match. If it's a yellow flag, this would be something that perhaps you might get a little clarification on, and the way that you learn the answer to be is going to determine whether that was a red flag, disengage, or if it's a green light, go. And let's say this person asks you out for a cup of coffee or something where it's just the two of you in this situation. If you agree with that, then that's a commitment. It's a small commitment, but it's a commitment, And then that's going to throw you forward into the chemistry phase once again. With that, then when you connect, or thinking about this person is going to put you in an up-leveled role in the chemistry phase, and then when you meet again for the coffee, you'll know to look forward to the dialogue and the interaction between the two of you, and that's going to be the casual phase. And at some point you may be dating this person, and when you're agreeing that you're both on the same page in this cycle of chemistry to casual to committed, that's the next level of commitment. It throws you forward into chemistry again, and that's how these cycles continue to go, from chemistry to casual to committed. That's in a modern day relationship, it's in a parent-child relationship, it's in a professional relationship with an employer, it's with all relationships.
So you do a lot of relationship coaching. Obviously, people that know me know that I do a lot of life coaching. I'm sure there's a lot of similarities in there. One of the things I tell people with is to be prepared to have game plans. So when people come to you for help, it's usually because they've dealt with issues. So people will come to me, for example, and let's just say that they've had infidelity issues, right? And they're talking to me, and then they meet someone and they're really into this person and they don't want to repeat that behavior anymore. So they want to start a new cycle, and their mind is right. They're like, I really care about this person. I don't want to behave like that. I'm not going to do that anymore. Well, I told them that's not enough. And the reason I say that is because of what you just said a second ago. I tell them to come up with a game plan, and this is why. You could be sitting at the pool minding your own business, right? And you have no intention to do anything wrong because, like you said, you're really into this person, and someone walks by and you just glance up and see them, and for no reason. You don't have bad intentions, but when you see them, you get that weird feeling in your stomach. You get those feelings like that you just mentioned. The issue is to act or to not act, right? So you have to control that urge and not act. You don't have to beat yourself down because something random like that happened. You just have to be man enough or woman enough to say, that was just a feeling, but that's all that was. And then go about your business. Go back to reading your book, laying out, go get in the pool, whatever. But I think that you should have plans for situations like that. So you don't, I feel like in life, a lot of times things happen to people and they're not prepared for the situation. And when you're not prepared for a situation, you might not always react the best. You might look back and be like, I wish I would have handled that different. But if you think scenarios out ahead of time in your head, when a scenario actually plays itself out in person, you're better prepared to handle that situation. To dive in a little bit more to that, I want to say this. What happens when people get past that honeymoon phase and then you have to really get to know this person, go through the likes, the dislikes, the good times, the bad times. What suggestions would you have for people that are going through that part?
So what you're asking is actually got a couple of different layers to it. So with the first topic that you brought up of, I'm in a committed relationship, I'm really good with this, but whoa, look at that over there. That might be a tasty alternative. What I would say to that is, again, all relationships go from chemistry to casual to committed, but to up-level a relationship is reliant on three things, and that's communication, trust, and respect. And as you continue to have that dialogue, interplay, the communication could be verbal, nonverbal, shared experiences together, all of those things. As you continue to have those experiences together, that builds trust. And this is a triad. And as you build that communication and trust, that naturally builds respect. So as you up-level a relationship, the communication, trust, and respect goes to a higher level as well. Initially, you're on a need-to-know basis, like the example where, we just first laid eyes on each other and we're connecting and we may be going for a coffee. You do not need to know the details of that person. You are not to that level. You're not, you're not at that discretion, at that deep of a relationship yet, so you keep it superficial. As you up-level the relationship, then so does the up-leveling of the communication, trust, and respect. Here's where the magic happens. As you continue to get to know one another and you align your relationships together, you start to represent one another as well as represent not only your individuality, but the two of you as a couple. So it's a third unit. So each of you, and then this third entity of the couple. As that relationship builds, if one aspect of this triad, the communication, trust, and respect, falls, then you need to rely on the other two. So if for some reason there's somebody at the pool and there's a wandering eye and somebody's pursuing that, then the trust may fall. There needs to be enough communication and respect in the relationship that it is the relationship that the two of you have planned together to maintain that level of commitment. Now, what I would say to use as a tool for that, I call the obligation Richter scale.
Oh, here we go.
And you can use this tool in several different ways, and that is, what value do you put on this one-on-one relationship with this person that we met and went out to coffee with? And as that relationship gets stronger and stronger, the relationship with the wandering eye at the pool actually doesn't hold the same value. And that way they get pushed out further on the relationship spiral, even though that was attractive and very interesting, maybe there was an exchange, but it's not as important as the relationship that you have with your person who you met and had that magic chemistry with.
A tool that I've developed myself and I advise other people to develop too is what you originally touched on, is the relationship with self, the inner voice, is because once you develop and master, so to speak, that relationship with your inner self, it prepares you for situations like that so you can handle situations like that better. That's the best piece of advice that I could give to anybody out there that's listening. Mastering oneself, who you are, what you stand for, what you'll allow, who you used to be, who you've become, right versus wrong. Once you master that self relationship, it makes every other relationship that much easier and better. And it allows you to handle a situation like that so much better, because whereas if you are not in control of self and you have not mastered that relationship, a lot of times people don't think about the long-term relationship they're in. They react off of a moment, a feeling, and they do something that may actually mess up their lives or their relationship. But if you have control of oneself, you will not allow yourself to make a decision like that. Even if you have a physical urge, you would shut that down. Because we are all human beings. We just all have to strive to be better human beings and master oneself, which is be the best you, becoming the best you.
Exactly right. So again, it's what value do you place on that primary level 9 relationship? Are you willing to risk that level 9 relationship with a level 2, whoever that was at the pool? That's the question that I would ask, and that helps to make a decision in the long term versus the short term. I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong, because each will serve you at different points in your life. And that brings me to answering the other part of your question, is how do you know? How do you know? And I've actually my publisher's got this book in hand, so it's almost released. I've just written a book called Find Love Now, a guide to attract the right one to you. And how do you know? So I've put together a process that I help guide people through, and this book actually helps you. It's as if you've got me in your back pocket and give you the exercises, super simple activities to help you reframe your mindset of who are you right now. Because if you're looking to invite someone into your life, but actually you're looking for somebody who would have been appropriate 10, 20 years ago, that may not be the right person who's right for you right now. So where are you at in the lifeline of your relationship arc, I call it. And that's where are you at in your life? Are you looking to build your career, build a family, have adventures with someone? what is it you're looking for when you're inviting a partner in? And sometimes people forget to put those primary goals in first, and those are the biggest pillars that need to be put in first. Who are you right now, and who do you want to step into becoming? Finding a partner who can ally and walk that journey with you is going to be a much more enjoyable relationship than trying to go back and fill in a gap that maybe you didn't get to fulfill completely in your mind before. So finding someone who's in alignment and in the intersection of the lifeline of your relationship arc now. Then level 2 is figuring out, what are your core values? What morals do you live by? Are you a living in the moment person who's really looking for, adventure and activity and excitement? Or are you more at a point in your life, or someone who's interested in family and faith and long-term experiences or career? Because those might be diametrically opposed value systems. So knowing what your values are, and complementary, they don't need to be the same values, of someone you'd like to invite into your life. So if you get very anxious, you may want someone who's naturally calm.
So we had kind of formed an outline of what we were going to talk about today, but what you just said was so juicy. I have to dive into that for just a minute, because
Sure.
as someone that has went through a lot myself, but also on a regular basis, I'm trying to help other individuals as well, just like you are. So I deal with a couple things that I'm getting ready to touch on, and hopefully you can shed some light on it, because sometimes when I'm saying it to people, they're hearing my voice over and over. So it's fascinating to hear someone else that does this for a living's opinion. So a couple things. I guess I'll answer them I'll ask you the questions one at a time. So the first question is, one of the things I run into a lot with people is they repeat cycles.
Yep.
And what I mean is, they'll be in a bad relationship with a lady or a man, and it's a certain type of person. And it'll be a bad relationship, and they'll finally get out of that relationship, and they'll talk junk about it the whole time, then finally get out of it, and then they'll pick someone else that it fits the same criteria. It's like the definition of insanity over and over and over. And God bless my mother, she was an amazing woman, but she would do that. She was I used to call her project manager, because she would take on these projects that weren't hers, trying to manage, a human being, which you can't do. A human being has to manage themselves. But I also compare it. I've told someone this recently. It's like going in the ice cream store, right? And the only ice cream, you go in Cold Stone, and there's 30 different flavors, and the only one you've ever ordered is vanilla.
Yep.
Right? And you're like, no, I just want to try. You have no idea what any of these other ice creams taste like, because you refuse to give them a shot. You just keep going there and ordering vanilla each and every time. What advice would you give to people out there that keep making that same mistake out there?
Okay, first of all, there's several reasons behind this. And one, it could be that they didn't have a role model to follow that was different than that. So not seeing a role model, or not knowing how to take that path, or ride that bike, or drive that vehicle, or that relationship, you simply don't know how. So then you revert back to what I call your factory setting, and you do what you know how to do. So you keep doing that. Now, another aspect to this is attachment styles. And if someone has an anxious attachment style, that's going to be someone, I'm going to simmer this down very quickly for you, someone who feels like they may, like if they could only try harder, or say the right thing, or do the right thing, then that would save the relationship. But you can't change other people, you can only change yourself, and other people may change as a reflection of that. So an anxious attachment style person is very attracted to an avoidant attachment style person, and vice versa. An avoidant attacher is somebody who is, oh my God, they're charismatic, they're gorgeous, they're interesting, they're intriguing, you can hardly resist them.
And people are also addicted to feelings that they don't realize, because of the serotonin and the cordyceps that get released into their body based off of certain feelings. So when they're used to being treated a certain way, even though it sounds terrible to say this, they're addicted to that feeling. So when you take that feeling away from them, subconsciously they start wanting that feeling again.
That's the chemistry phase.
Yes.
So, when an avoidant attacher who doesn't want to be vulnerable in a relationship and will literally break up with the greatest thing ever simply because it was a good thing, but they don't want to be vulnerable. An anxious person in a relationship like the one that you were saying, perhaps with your mom, she's going to try and help and be a giver and support and save and do more and be more. And the avoidant is going to say, you're not enough. It's never enough. And if I had to say what is the biggest reason that relationships are out of alignment, is because someone feels like they're not enough or they're being told they are not enough. So what I would suggest in those situations is to find a role model, a relationship coach, or a partner who has a secure attachment style, who then accepts you for who you are, meets you where you're at, makes you feel safe in the relationship, and can allow you to be your authentic, genuine self and love you for who you naturally are.
So the second part of the question is, what would you say to people out there that put themselves in relationships based off of someone's attraction, the way they look at someone, by their finances, because their family pushes them in that direction, or maybe they check all the boxes? What's your opinion on that?
Well, that was a perfect segue from where we were just at. When I'm working with people, I help them figure out the primary pillars. Where are you at in the lifeline of your relationship arc? So where are you at in life and what do you want for the rest of it? And being a widow, I've seen life in fast forward, so I feel like I can see how that journey is walked. People forget to look forward. They just want to go, that pool person is pretty hot. That should be enough. Then the second level of finding and matching up core value systems, we make all of the decisions in our life based on our core values. We wake up in the morning with these core values, we walk through life with them. And they may change as we go through life, but all of our decisions are made based on those core values. Inviting someone into your life with a similar core value system means you're going to be making decisions in concert with one another. It's so much easier and much more fun to be in a relationship with someone who makes decisions in a similar way that you do. Now, what you're saying is the next tier. And people make the mistake, it's so easy to be attracted to someone based on simply faith, family, finances, their physical self, the frequency and the energy they bring to a relationship, their proximity, the intellectual stimulation, or what is expected of you. Now, if you start and choose any one of those things as the primary reason you're attracted to someone, you might get lucky and you might get lucky and have the other pillars and core values in alignment. More often than not, you've based the relationship on something that should be much more granular in your decision-making process. So in your example of you're in a level 9 relationship with somebody that you met, locked eyes with, had a cup of coffee with, and then up-leveled the relationship based on communication, trust, and respect, and then you're out at the pool and you see some hottie walking by. If you're going to choose someone based on only the superficial physicality, then think about it. Is that really going to be an enduring relationship?
No, and let's leave the rated G section behind for a moment. And too many times people put themselves in relationships based off of sex. And that's also a major mistake. Unfortunately, I have some friends of mine that repeat that mistake over and over. And I just sit back and watch, as a friend, and I feel bad for them. It's no way to base a relationship, and it's a recipe for failure.
So here are my thoughts on that. As we said, communication, trust, and respect is the triad to up-level a relationship. If you meet someone and that chemistry is hot, 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 and you're like, I like the way you smell. I need to be in part of this action. There's so much um, animal, mammal portion of us that is going to be, I mean, this is genetically made up. So that attraction can totally be so exciting.
Yep.
My definition of great sex is a high level form of communication. So once again, if you don't have all of the pillars in place and the values in place to enjoy that physical experience together, it could be a wonderful physical experience. However, if you can put the pillars in place, the lifeline of your relationship arc of where are you at in life, and your core values in place, and then talk about up-leveling that part of a communication in a relationship, this is going to change your life. That's going to be a sexual experience, a sensual experience, an emotional experience, and an experience that makes you feel like you are walking on air.
It's crazy that you said that. I literally feel that on a regular basis, like I'm floating on a cloud. It took a while to get used to. It's an insane feeling. It's really, you cannot describe it, and I don't think anyone listening can understand it until they experience it,
Yeah.
because it's unlike anything else that you'll ever come across. So there are people that will probably be like, yeah, right, you can have really good sex, and that's fine,
Yep,
you know.
yeah.
But I promise you this: there's another level.
There's another
I
level.
promise you that. As
Right.
good as you think whatever you're doing is, I promise you there's another level.
So
And when you have the mental and physical and spiritual locked in like that,
Mhm.
it is untouchable.
Woo-hoo.
Yes.
So this is what we call love, and it's not just a word. It's what sonnets have been written about. It's what songs have been written about. Stories through time have been written about. It's the reason that we connect with one another, because this is this visceral feeling, and you don't always know when it's wrong, but you know when it's right. I get the wonderful opportunity to work with people who may never have felt this feeling, but when we can peel back the onion layers and put things in place, literally it happens like magic. And I get the great joy of getting the phone call going, oh my God, I feel like I've won the jackpot, or my partner makes me feel like a goddess or a god, or and I work with people of all ages. And one of my clients, I was wishing her a happy birthday, and she sends me a picture of her and her boyfriend in Greece, and she says, my boyfriend has taken me to Greece, and this is my 84th birthday, and I finally know what love feels like.
That's amazing.
So let's make sure it happens for you earlier than that, because when you know this feeling, it's a gift you get to keep forever.
Yeah, and you made the comparison to an onion and peeling the layers back. Let me tell you guys something, watching and listening. A real relationship is, like she said, like an onion and peeling layers back. If the person that you've encountered is a glass onion and you can see everything right off the bat, you're probably dealing with the wrong onion. So just let me put that out there. All right, so and then, this is a two-part question as well.
Okay.
And I just want a simple one answer for one, a simple one answer for the other.
Okay.
If you could only give one reason why couples succeed, what would you say it is? The number one reason why couples succeed.
Intention. I have to do a one-word answer?
It doesn't have to be
a
one
buzzer?
word. No. But I just wanted there to be like, if it was $1 million on the table right now and you had to give one answer, what would it be for that $1 million?
For a couple to succeed, each person needs to want to be in the relationship and want it to succeed. You can see what's right in a relationship when you want it to succeed. And it's really beautiful how when you can see what's right in a person and in a relationship, all the flaws seem irrelevant.
Yes.
Then it just, they disappear. And what's valuable to you becomes so much more important. And that gives each person in the relationship a sense of safety, stability, calm. They know that someone's got their back. When you know that you've got a partner who will show up for you, who you can trust to make decisions in your best interest, who you can go to bed with and enjoy pillow talk with, who you can wake up with and you want to share every moment in between with, that's how you know that it's the right relationship.
Great answer. So the other side of the coin, if you could only give one reason why couples fail, what would you say it is?
A one-word buzzer answer.
The $1 million number one pick question.
Someone is feeling like they're not enough, or they're made to feel they are not enough, and that will push a relationship out of alignment. I have a client who's coming to me and he's saying that he feels like his girlfriend is going 75 miles per hour in this relationship, and he's only at 50 miles per hour. So, and this, I've helped people through this frequently. He's still in the chemistry phase of the relationship and she's pushing casual to committed. So we need to help them understand where they're at in the relationship, where both of them can feel like they are safe in the relationship and they're confident that things are going in the direction that each of them want to go in, so that when they do reach a commitment of any level, even if it's, what do you want pizza for dinner, when they make those decisions together, they know that they're at the same pace. And I gave him the 3 easy steps for that. My clients will call me and go, what are the 3 easy steps to get through this? So for him it was super easy, and it's setting the stage first, so that's step 1. And in his case, and I've worked with people in similar scenarios like this, that someone's pushing things too far, too fast, and oftentimes it'll be for external reasons that they think they're supposed to. And the way that you do this particular thing, like I'll set the stage or help them set the stage. Is this something you want to be on a confrontation, eye-to-eye conversation? Is this a parallel play where maybe you're driving or you're sitting next to someone on the couch type of conversation? That's not it for this one. My suggestion was, in a quiet environment with just the two of them, come up behind her, snuggle in so close that you can smell her and she can smell you. This is an established relationship. Yeah. And whisper in her ear so that she knows you are there, and this is a moment that's shared with just the two of you. And what I suggested that he say was to reinforce for her, I am very happy with our relationship the way it is right now. And what happens by doing something like that is it gives her a sense of relief, that she doesn't have to hit the accelerator and try harder and push further and be more and try to impress externally. She can turn around and be with just her partner, and he exactly in the moment where they're at right then. And he did follow up with me and say, it worked.
The way you said that.
Oh, well, you said this wasn't G-rated, right? I can pretty much assure that if you follow the 3 easy steps, whatever your situation is, if I'm giving you 3 easy steps, it's going to be a good night for you.
So, on a personal level, obviously you know me and my wife. I'm super proud of my relationship. I was actually speaking with 2 really close friends of mine this morning, and one of them gave me some very nice compliments about being humble and never changing, and on all that stuff, regardless of different things I've accomplished or money I've made or goals or whatever. But I told him, I said, no, I'm never going to change. I said, I am who I am, and this is me. I'm in here working out with you guys this morning. I'll always be like this, regardless of what happens in my life. The most important things and the things that I'm the most proud of in my entire life is my relationship with my wife and my relationship with my kids.
Absolutely.
They're number one to me, and I'm so proud of my relationship with my wife. I'm so lucky to have found my wife. She's absolutely amazing, and I'm blessed and thankful every day to have her. And I work really hard at making that relationship good. And people, if someone's listening is like, you shouldn't have to work hard. Everything in this world that you have that's good, you have to work for it. If you have a nice car, it wasn't given to you unless you just came from a lot of money. You had to work to get it. If you have a bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctor's degree, you had to go to school to earn that. If you're living in a big, beautiful home, you had to earn that. If you've worked your way up to it, being an executive wherever you're at, or you run your own successful business, you had to work to get to that. Yeah, you can meet someone and you can be attracted, or you can have, like-minded goals. You can have a lot of things in common. You could both have good sense of humor. You could like to spend time together, but you do have to work. Not every single day is going to be fun and games. I will say this: when you do find the right match and you meet and align on a lot of those things, it is a lot less work because you have so much love and friendship there. But I have really invested in becoming a better person, a better man, a better leader, a better husband, because I want to be all those things for her.
Absolutely.
And I know that she does it for me. I can see it. I see it. The transformation that I have watched my wife make, she's still Jessica, but the transformation that I have watched her make over the years is inspiring. Like, she works every day to be a better person, to change from stuff that she's done before, to her mindset, and it's beautiful, it's inspiring, and it makes me want to do the same thing. I believe, this is my belief about relationships, that, well, I'm just going to read this off to you, and then you tell me what you think about it.
Yep.
I believe love, honesty, communication, and loyalty are the big four. What is your opinion on that?
Love, honesty, communication, and loyalty are your big four. So what you were sharing in that story is so beautiful, because you were talking about developmental phases that you were going through in your life, and then meeting Jessica, and then sharing lives together and connecting those relationships together, and with the children. And also, you also mentioned, and throughout all of that, and you were talking about core values. So I was trying to add up your core values. And you said you are reflected, you've got people who reflect humility when you're humble, accomplishment, leadership, partnership, family, being an inspiration for yourself and others. So these are your core values. Those don't really change. They're very enduring through your life, regardless of the developmental phases that you're going through. And we go through developmental phases at every age and stage of life. So if you're learning how to crawl and walk and run and do gymnastics and lift weights, it's always an effort. And that's, I think people say that, oh, relationships are hard. Well, you know what? You're a really strong man in many ways. You're also strong physically. But when you pick up a weight, it's still an effort to pick up weight. If you're gonna go hiking up a hill, no matter how strong and fit you are, it's an effort to hike uphill. So it's always going to be a developmental effort and a developmental growth to go just outside your comfort zone and expand and reach a little further. It's always going to be an effort. What happens is when you practice that, it does get easier and it's more enjoyable, and it becomes a practice and a habit. So that part, it becomes like walking. When you first learn to walk, oh boy, it's really falling forward. And when you learn to walk and you practice it, you don't even have to think about it anymore. So when you were growing up and going through challenges in your life, you developed a code of ethics, And those are the determining values that you live your life by. That's your moral compass, your moral value system. And that's how you know that's how you make decisions. When you found Jess and the two of you come together, you see that those are in alignment. And when your core values are in alignment, that's much more enduring than those immediate satisfaction items. The two of you have a lot of those as well, which makes things that much more fun. And it's that you see that you can inspire one another and grow together, as well as be there for one another. And sharing the journey of life together is one of the greatest gifts that you can share with one another. So, communication, loyalty, trust, and what was the other one? Honesty. So I would say those are your guiding values. What I talk about is knowing your core values, and then when you want to up-level a relationship, the triad that I mentioned before is similar. To go from chemistry to casual to committed, you up-level that relationship through communication, trust, and respect. So those would be the four that you said essentially in your moral compass.
So that's my relationship with my wife and where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And so that core four really works for me. Basically, what I'm hearing from you is, as an individual, going back to what we said earlier, know yourself and what works best for you so you can thrive in your relationship. If someone out there is watching or listening and they like what you're saying and they're already in a good place, or maybe they're not in a good place, maybe they need help and you're the person they're looking for, how can they get in touch with you? How can they find you? Where can they reach you at?
Super simple. To reach me, go to theartofrelationshipping.com, and you're welcome to schedule a relationship strategy session with me. And it's very simple, theartofrelationshipping.com. If you get a sense that you're not trusting yourself in intimate relationships, you don't know how to navigate obstacles in relationships, that could be a clear signal that it's time to reach out for somebody like me to help you guide yourself on that path. If you're wondering, should I stay or should I go? Or how do I handle this situation? If you don't feel like you're able to advocate for yourself appropriately in a relationship, those are clear signals to reach out to someone. If you feel like you're running into the same relationship challenge over and over again, and it's not the type of challenge that you've learned to navigate, that's a clear signal to go to theartofrelationshipping.com and schedule a relationship strategy session with me.
That's awesome. Two quick things I wanted to touch on before we wrap up today's episode is I have to end up helping people with this particular situation quite a bit, and I just would like to get your opinion so if someone is listening, they can use this piece of information. So I deal with people that have been in, 5, 7, 9 different relationships, and it's always the other person's fault. And sometimes it is the other person's fault, but sometimes it's your fault too. And if the common denominator in all of the failed relationships is you, how do you get that person to understand maybe I'm the issue? What can I do and what do I need to do to change to be better?
Well, somebody who's running into that situation where they're always what I call outsourcing the responsibility to other people, they're not going to think that it's them. Okay, you ready?
Here we go.
We are born into this world. We are, and I call this it's the art of relationshipping. Go to the secrets of happiness and how to find them. So I go into this, but you're born into this world, and you really need to get 7 things taken care of. So you need to regulate your temperature, so too hot, too cold. You need to eat. You need to drink, so you don't want to be too thirsty. You need sleep. You need not hurt, you need to get stimulation, and you need love. There they are. Those are the 7 things. And what happens when you're born into this world with your brilliant brain, you were asking for the neuroscience of this, right?
Here we go.
Is you take in information through your 5 senses. That's all you've got to work with. And your brain will take in this data, and that will create some sort of feeling. Too hot, too cold, that hurts, this is interesting, I feel cared for, whatever, I feel full, I feel empty, I'm thirsty. So you will get a feeling, and then your brain is going to interpret that into an emotion. This is how we make sense of the world around us. With that, as we learn to grow and interact in our society, we're going to have caretakers of some sort help us with those things. Then what we learn next, because your brilliant brain is designed for survival, is we learn how to be accepted in this tribe, in this community, in this family. And the way that we find acceptance is in response to those people who are helping us take care of those primary 7 basic needs. 7, if you're watching. So we want to appeal to them in some way. And what we learn is by smiling, we get a response, by cooing, by laughing, by behaving in a certain way. So that's how, at the very base root, we learn how to act so that we can get those things taken care of. Now, at some point in that developmental growth, so much of that is outsourced originally. Now that's super clear, right?
Yes.
At some point, you want to insource those and find that acceptance and the capability to take care of oneself internally. If for some reason that doesn't happen, then you get a situation where somebody is outsourcing their happiness and putting the responsibility on someone else.
That is so deep. I'm serious because, I'm following you and I understand and know exactly what you're talking about, because I try to walk people through this. To hear the way you broke it down, you're a lot nicer about it than me. So it's very interesting. I'm glad that you said that, because you cannot find happiness in no one else. Happiness is within. Mm-hmm. And so the problem is not always the other person. Sometimes the problem was within, and sometimes we have to look within. Unfortunately, some people don't want to look within and fix the problem within.
Well, that's harder. So that's accountability and responsibility, going back to core values. It's so much easier to say, oh, if you could only have done that better, I would have succeeded. But then you're not taking responsibility for your life and your actions. And if you're outsourcing this happiness, then if the wind, like you're a balloon, if the wind is blowing you in the direction of happy, then yay. And if not, you're making it somebody else. Is it the wind's problem that you were blown in this direction? Is it the wind's responsibility if you're a balloon in the wind? No. So if you take responsibility for yourself, and it demonstrates where you're at in life, and your values in life, and what you can step up and own and be responsible for, it seems like the harder path to actually take responsibility for yourself and your actions, because what you say and do matters.
Just curious, when you explain that to people that have done very well for themselves financially, mm-hmm. How do they respond to that? Because there's so many people out there that do well financially, and when they do well financially, they think that most rules don't apply to them. And I'm bringing in money, I've got this, or I'm the boss, but because you make money doesn't change everything else that you just talked about.
So this is the definition of success. Does a spreadsheet, does the top line and the bottom line on the spreadsheet determine your success in your life? And it's your relationship with money? It may. However, and the majority of my clients are successful professionally, but personally they haven't applied the same set of rules.
Mm.
So I will meet them where they're at and find an arena where they are comfortable, because as you were saying, it's hard for people to accept that they could be responsible for this and that it's their concern,
Yep.
that they should do something about it. So meet them where they're at, find a safe space, and then help them understand how all relationships go from chemistry to casual to committed. So in the story that you just shared with me, I might start with a relationship with money and your professional experience. See how those successes flow. And then when we talk about other relationships that come up, they suddenly have a light bulb go off and go, oh my God, I now see how this works. From chemistry to casual to committed happens the same way with my professional life, my relationship with my business, and my relationship with money, as well as my relationship with the hot chick who just walked by the pool.
Isn't it insane how older people can be emotionally immature?
Everyone can be emotionally immature. I don't think it's when we figure this out and we start to take responsibility for our happiness. It's easy to call it happiness. It could be homeostasis with those 7 things I talked about. If we understand how to interpret the data we bring in to ourselves, and as we determine how we want to respond to those feelings and the emotions that we choose, and that's key right there. You can choose the emotions that you want to go through life with. You can wake up in the morning and be depressed. Absolutely. So this leads me to the resiliency roller coaster, which again, going to theartofrelationshipping.com, go to resources and you'll see this amazing little video. And this is my daughter on a roller coaster, and really understanding how to respond to the emotions in our life helps us be more resilient. And it might just save your life, because when your resiliency is a stronger tool for you, your body will respond to stress better and actually make you stronger. So it's a matter of what exciting adventure are you embarking on in life? And the exciting adventures are ones we choose, and they're also ones that happen to us simply because we're moving through life. I'm going to give you a really hard one. Puberty. Ooh, that is a really hard adventure to embark upon. We are as uncomfortable as we can possibly be. Our hormones are surging. One arm might be growing faster than another overnight. And we literally take these amazing people at this age of life and separate them into junior high. Because then they can go and make mistakes, all that they need, and then, oh, thank you, teachers and principals of junior high schools who can support this growth so they can make those mistakes and hopefully learn from them, and then know how to handle those situations better when they continue through these developmental phases. So when someone is emotionally immature, it's because they haven't figured out, they haven't tested the water, they haven't made the mistakes of, will this work? Will that work? How do I approach whatever this situation is? I've got clients who've never been in a healthy relationship before. They don't know what it looks like. This is like traveling to Mars. What are we going to encounter along the way? We can't anticipate that. But if you've got a guide to walk the journey with you, they can help you every step of the way. So you were saying it surprises you when people are emotionally immature, even at an advanced age. When I talk about that primary set of pillars, the lifeline of your relationship arc, that's not determined by age. That's determined more by where you're at in life and what you'd like out of the rest of your life. So those are the kinds of things that we consider when someone's emotionally learning, and inviting those emotions in to see what they have to tell you is probably the best way to work with them and respond to them because they're informative.
Well, today was a great episode. We got a lot of information out, and I hope that anyone that was listening or watching enjoyed this episode and got a lot of answers and a lot of good information that you can use going forward. Once again, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to any streaming platform, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Google, please take the time out to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Without your support, we wouldn't be here. Thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on today and giving us all the amazing information. I look forward to having you back sometime again soon.
I'm delighted.
Thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of the Be the Best You podcast. Until next time, I'm out.